think they'd be cool with that?
Yeah. Austin said draw away. So.
Okay, go ahead.
Who's 3? 3. JJ Howard.
4.
Aaron Durbin.
Who's 6? JJ.
John Lewis. John.
Is that how you want to be John Lewis?
John Lewis.
Just
John Lewis. That's fine. Sure.
Well, can you give me some mood lighting? Some blues and reds, and I'll get the stage. John, where's the stage? Help me with the stage. Excuse me, guys. A little more blue. Blue brings out the cheekbones. You guys golden? You golden? You good? All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the world of beer. Ready for some comedy? We're going to have some fun tonight. It's awesome you guys came out. Everybody in town has got the flu. I don't understand this because we have the flu shot. And I know
this is one of those deals, just like any job that you do or any hobby. The more you do it, the better you're going to get in the long run.
In our first stand-up round, please welcome Mr. Caleb Davis. How we doing over there?
Excuse me. How you doing tonight? Good. Good. My super official list on a napkin. And if we go over 6, I'll write some more numbers. I think the difficulty of just being kind of just an entity, just operating not really out of a home base or anything like that, can be challenging at times because you're kind of rolling in and operating with some of the equipment they might have, or a crowd that is not going to be very receptive to comedy, and those can be a fun challenge and a not so fun challenge at the same time. So
yeah, you're also in like direct competition with anything else that's going on. So doing all these bar shows, if there's like a football game going on, you're not going to have everyone's attention because there will be people that just show up to watch the football game and they didn't expect a comedy show to be there. So.
That's about it.
Hello, check, yeah. We're going to be doing some comedy here in about 30 minutes. And we do have a sign-up sheet right over here. If you're interested in doing some stand-up, it is open mic.
Yeah, we've got 3 open mics pretty much every week. They're all different kind of venues. Like there's like a smaller one upstairs in like a hotel. And then we have a bar type show, and then we have a full stage show. And so people can go up and sign up and try different spaces to try out new jokes and different kinds of comedy there, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, right behind you. Right here. This guy. Wherever you want to go.
Because Lubbock, we just started this thing only a few years ago. It's harder to get people really actively into coming out and trying and sticking with it. We'll have a lot of people come to one show and then never come back again. So like as far as like people who keep coming out to the mics, it's a lot smaller than a bigger city. So like maybe 10, 20 people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's very hit or miss, and definitely seasonal as well. You get some college students that are coming out and they go home, and then there's not as many audience members as well. So I think we're kind of in a sense a college town with that as well.
Glad you guys are here. This is a small crowd, but you look good. I hope you guys feel good. I feel good. Feel a little different. I had a colonoscopy recently. You're never the same after getting a colonoscopy.
The community is good. We would like more people here, but when people do come here, usually they have a great time, and the comedians, they're very helpful. They will always try to help you improve, They're fun to hang out with, you know. When we're here, we're always joking around, always laughing, you know, just being a weird family in a sense.
There's not really too many established, you know, touring comedians that come out of Lubbock. And so I think, you know, having that and helping those young comedians kind of get through those growing pains of starting out and kind of trying to not necessarily mentor them, but just know that we're there and we support them, because you can go through a bad month and you're just like, what, I'm not funny anymore. And you feel that you don't have that behind you, but I think that's something that we try to pride ourselves on, is that, you know, we're just a big, crazy, dysfunctional family of people that are just trying to get laughs, so.
Yeah, and we encourage guys. We have a bunch of guys who are funny who's just like, no, I don't want to go up, I don't want to do it. We're like, man, you got to get up there. You're like, you were doing so well last week, and they're like, no, I don't want to come back and stuff. And so like, I think it's different than a lot of groups where it's like it's just straight competition between the comics. I'm gonna be the funniest person. There's like a lot of animosity towards someone if they do well. But here, if somebody's doing well, we try to encourage that, because we want everyone to have a good time, and it just makes you write better if somebody's like going out there and crushing it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it raises the bar. If you see some guy absolutely, you know, have just a killer set, and you don't do so well, and you're like, well, I need to get back and write and punch up and come back and push him even further. So there's not really a vindictive competitiveness. It's just a natural competitiveness, but it's also, you know, tough love too. So, you know, we'll definitely leave someone up there to die on stage, but we'll have notes for him to punch up for next time. So.
You can't tell from where you're sitting, I am white. Usually that gets applause. Thank you. It was really hard work.
And then there's a bunch of guys in the scene who've been doing it a long time. So Ranney is a guy who's been doing it for forever, and he's just funny as hell. And he can just, he can look at your stand-up and be like, okay, dude, like this thing works, but like you need to like do a little more of this. Like you need to have the confidence of like walking around. He told me, talk to people like they're in your kitchen. You know, like they're in your kingdom. You're expressing your ideas with pride.
As a professional comedian who's been doing it for years, and I actually taught stand-up for 10 years, I am kind of mom's the word. I don't bother comedians unless they ask. Comedians will tell you that. But when they do ask, it's about helping them find it themselves. And then it's stronger too when it comes from their minds. So I try to help them do that. But outside of that, I try to just give them their time. Time is the issue, putting in your time.
So I think like it's just a nurturing environment. People just roll with it, and I love that about Lubbock.
But like my New Year's resolution is I'm gonna quit dating the women who are the yellow starburst in my life. You know, you see a yellow starburst by itself, it's a tasty treat. But compared to other starbursts, it's garbage, and I can do better, you know? Work some, I get pink and a red, you know? I know you guys are looking at me like you're not getting past orange, that face.
I've been on the Lubbock comedy scene for just about a year, kind of passing through. There's a cursing blessing out of the idea that they don't have many like official clubs, so they have to create their own opportunities, which creates this kind of family. All the guys support each other, and they create the different nights. So every time you go into a night, one of the fellow comedians have created it, so it creates a certain bond. But it's a growing scene too. I've seen it grow within the last year.
So in one sense, Lubbock's the worst place to do this, but it's also the best. So it's the worst because you've got a super conservative crowd, right? So if you go on and you do any sort of like edgy liberal, you're probably not gonna go over, right? But on the flip side, it's also got a crowd that's surprisingly dirty, right? I do a joke that's about crippled people, and it just kills every time. People love laughing at crippled people in this town, which is shocking because if you said a mean thing about Trump, you wouldn't get anything. It'd be crickets, you know? But like, so in that sense, it's kind of the worst place to do it because there's only so far that you can go, and if it works here, it might not work elsewhere, you know? And then like on the flip side, it's also like a really good place to do it because it's like an incubator. There's a bunch of people who've now left and have gone into like the Chicago scene and stuff and are doing really well because they learned how to work a tough room in this area.
Because we're always talking about the animals we're killing. We're never talking about the animals that we're keeping alive, you know? Like pugs. How are those still a thing?
I'm Corey Wood. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm in Chicago now, but I started in Lubbock, Texas, and me and my friend Joe started Laugh Hub City when there wasn't really a comedy scene here, and so I like coming back here and doing shows. When we first started, it was just pure fun. That was some of the best years of my life. It was, you know, just all of us were really close friends, and we'd do a show, and like people would laugh, and then we'd go back and like we'd hang out together. We weren't like, we want to have a scene so 100 people come out and we get famous. We were just like, we want a lot of people out here so they can laugh and like we can have, because we just love doing it. Now it's like there's more comedians coming in, and they're all friendly, but like it is more like a real scene now, to where like someone will come in and be like, I want to tell jokes, whereas before it was just like, we're just trying to hang out and like people are around. And so there's a lot more shows now, which is really cool. There's a bigger following. It surprises me how supportive everyone is. And so, not that it wasn't supportive when I was here, but there's more like, it almost feels like there's kind of a fan base now.
I think in the beginning, we weren't really sure if the show was going to last or it was going to be there the next week. Because at the start, we had shows at different venues, and pretty much all those venues closed down. So like, we had real, every time it was like we were the death of that place. If we had a really good showcase, it was going to close the next month or whatever. So, so like we've had to adapt and stuff. And at least now we have some consistency, and like the show crowds are not as like, you know, hit or miss as they were probably like 2 years ago, where there would be a lot more arguments and people like yelling and heckling and stuff because it's like, I'm at this place. I did not expect the show to happen, but luckily we have a few owners that really were supportive of having a comedy scene here, so let's keep doing the show as much as we could.
I was really scared when I left because this was like my baby, and like I'd put so much work into like putting a Facebook page together, doing shows, advertising it, getting people out. And Caleb started maybe 4 or 5 months after everyone started, so he wasn't here right away, but I still consider him and Aaron Durbin like founding members of this. And so I feel very good with them being here. I have a friend who was like filming for Comedy Central and was like, I want to go through to Lubbock, and I just gave her Caleb's number, and I was like, I felt very confident being like, you know, he's gonna do whatever you need him to. She like didn't have a place to stay. He let her like crash on the couch. They're both like two of the best guys I've met, and like me and Caleb still stay in touch a lot, and it's like anytime I come in, he's like, yeah, we're gonna do whatever you need, and like he set up like tonight I'm gonna do some time, and so I like that it's still in their hands.
I mean, I just want to get Lubbock back on the map where there's a positive association with comedy and coming here and doing stand-up for whoever's touring.
Yeah, I think we want the conversation between the up-and-coming comics who are starting to tour be like, oh, I went to Lubbock and I had a great time. They like Laugh Up City, you guys put on a great show, we had a great time, definitely stop back the next time. And like hopefully like more and more comedians come through here and have that same opinion, like, oh, I gotta go check out this Lubbock scene, you know?
Tonight we have the Lubbock Laugh Off. This is our 14th standing room only show, so first and foremost, thanks to you guys. We have 6 comedians. They will compete in 6 rounds.
2016 was rough. I knew it was going to be a bad year when that gorilla died. Y'all remember Kimbo Slice, right?
I wanted to look nice for the show, so I do what I normally do. I drove out to the airport and I stole the first bag that I sell on baggage claim.
I didn't come here to be nice, I came here to win. Were the Jews in Egypt technically the first victims of a pyramid scheme?
Are you guys ready for the roast?
Caleb Davis, the man who always looks like he perpetually leaves the room when the check comes.
John Lewis looks like Christmas carols alone. Kendall, you biracial angel. Kendall's mom's white. His dad's predator. Which is why nobody's seen him.
The person who will wear the comedy crown for 1 month and take home this former kite fly and frisbee floating trophy on loan.
The
fact of the matter is these comedians now do have enough material to do headlining sets, whereas in the early days they didn't necessarily do it. So this works almost as a feeder for their headlining sets. And they're getting bigger, and some are moving off, and some are going on to some great things. And I honestly believe that comedy in Lubbock right now is where music in Lubbock was a long time ago. It's just a great fertile ground for comedy because you have a conservative town, and that works as a pressure cooker. And those people need comedy as an outlet.
Have a great night. Take care.